Good morning, everyone. Thank you all very much for coming. Now, these days, we always have a lot of questions in our head, and often we don't find the answers to these questions. We have many more questions than we do answers. People often say that clever people are the people that ask questions. Well, I don't think we're particularly clever, but we certainly ask ourselves a huge amount of questions. And we should, because we have to ask questions. And I think we have to find answers and explanations for the new era in which we're living, because the way in which we do politics is changing. We're going through a process of political transition, and we have to change. And we don't really have to do any deep-rooted research to work this out. And I don't think I would be exaggerating if I said that many people, in fact, are calling into doubt both political parties and political representatives. And in fact, whenever we talk to our friends, to our family, people out on the street, whenever we talk to them, there are many views and opinions that we hear time and time again. Because I think that society in general has a very negative perspective of politicians and the world of politics. That doesn't mean that politicians are going to disappear anytime soon, or political representatives are going to completely change. I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't think that the way in which we do politics is actually going to change completely anytime soon. But what is it that people actually say? Well, if you ask them about the credibility of politics and policies, generally the answers you get are pretty negative. And I think the answers that you can see on the screen really show quite clearly that the relationship that exists at the moment between politics and politicians, and citizens is not a good one. There's a lot of disaffection. Some people say that, traditional politics is no longer relevant. Sometimes people talk about the political crisis in which we're immersed. There are some quite radical people who advocate the complete overhaul of the political system. But why has the idea that governments are the cause, not the solution to the problem, why has that become so widespread? Well, I think there's no one reason for this. Corruption, the economic recession, the increase of social inequality, globalization, these are just some of the reasons. But perhaps it's a combination of all these different reasons. But in any case, whatever the actual reason, what reality shows us is that we've come to a point of no return in the way in which we understand and practice politics. Politics in the past has really become enclosed in its own world. It's built walls around itself. And today, the only way out is to overcome these barriers and to actually, we need politicians to climb over the walls that they themselves have built. And this means that we're going to have a change in attitude, not only by politicians, because politics needs to stop looking at society as a source of problems. But, on the other hand, society also needs to stop looking at politics as living in a separate world, a world completely disconnected to reality. Because in order to rise to current challenge, political challenges, social challenges, we have to join forces. So, in other words, given the current social conditions, governments and people need to work hand in hand. Governments and citizens, we need to join forces. Today, politicians and governments need the resources and the capabilities of people who aren't politicians and people who work outside the government. Now, in Etorkizun Eraiki, Building the Future, we are building a new model of open and collaborative governance. And we know that participation is the best way to try to start joining forces and to break down walls. But we're not interested in any type of participation. We just don't want any old participation. We don't want to, we're not going to engage or accept any type of participation. When we talk about participation, we talk about it because we want to lay the groundwork for stable relationships of collaboration with citizens. We want to generate sincere and true relationships of confidence. And this is, I think, and trust. This is a major challenge. And there's no point just asking people to come and participate. We need to show our willingness to share our power. We need to create spaces which will enable us to think in collective terms in order to change the way that we relate to each other, to social groups and with governments, but between ourselves as well. We need to create spaces in which we use the prefix co. We need spaces for co-creation, co-production, co-reflection, co-experimentation. So spaces in which we can come together to meet. Spaces in which we can define common aims and shared visions. We need to make a firm commitment to participation, and that means that we need to create a wide-ranging network of social stakeholders who can take part in the planning and the guidance and the implementation of public policies. We need to make a firm commitment to participation, but this is something that is very complex. It's not easy. It's quite complex also to actually foster a culture of participation, but this is something that we have to do. This isn't just getting everybody together and sitting them around a table. Participation is something that you have to learn. Politicians need to learn how to do it, and so do citizens. Participation means listening and talking, not just talking, but listening as well. It means understanding each other. It means overcoming disagreements. And its rewards are many. Personal growth, collective action, outcomes, and the integration of different perspectives into the system. But in order to foster a culture like this, we need a strategy. And in our opinion, this culture of participation, in order to, I think that the main responsibility for fostering this culture of participation belongs to the politicians and the government, which is why, as Director of Citizen Participation at the Gipuzkoa Provincial Council, my main task is to foster or to provide the conditions to enable the fostering of this culture of participation. And to do that, in order to foster the development of a culture of participation, in order to do that, we have developed a plan for 2015 to 2019. Now, the question we asked ourselves was actually quite easy to ask, but it wasn't so easy to answer. And what was the question? Well, the question was, how can you create a culture of participation? And in the answer to that question, many people are involved. Politicians, everyone who works in the administration, and also citizens in general, the general public. Now, in our case, in order to answer this question, I based our strategy on 4 main pillars. And we can actually look at these pillars in the shape of a diamond, as you can see here on the screen. Now, there are 4 working groups which make up each point of this diamond. We have a working group for strengthening participation, for facilitating participation, disseminating participation, and also spreading participation out. These are the bases of everything that we do. So we have 4 main pillars, and around these 4 main pillars, we are building this plan that I mentioned before from 2015 to 2019. And this is going to inform all our activities. Now, it's true that when we started designing this plan in 2015, we didn't start from scratch, because in 2010, a new provincial law was passed about participation. And in fact, it's the result of this provincial law that today in the provincial government we have a department dedicated to citizen participation. And so this is something that was sort of cooked in the kitchen from 2011 to 2015. So participation was nothing new, wasn't something new for the Gipuzkoa Provincial Council, but it was really an unknown, unexplored territory, really, in many political and social sectors. So in order to strengthen participation, what do we need? We need an institutional structure. And why is this so important? Well, because the traditional ways of exercising politics, managing this administration, this non-participatory traditional methods, they're so deeply rooted that it's really important to make these new rules of the game visible and operational. Now, approving a plan enables us to have a roadmap, and also there's a specific item in the budget earmarked for related actions. So we have the provincial law on participation is therefore for us a fundamental tool, because laws are binding, even though some people wouldn't agree with that, but they are binding, in fact. And secondly, because it enables us to develop a whole series of different bodies and committees which will help develop participation. And thirdly, because it's enabled us to discuss with different political groups, with experts, with officials, with public servants, and with citizens, discuss its content. And in that process, we have generated more and more culture around citizen participation. The Provincial Participation Commission is a key element within the Provincial Council because it carries out this cross-cutting work, coordination work between all the different departments to help foster the participation plan. And finally, we've also set up the interinstitutional space for citizen participation, which is a space in which we coordinate and foster the activities of different local council, local entities, and the Gipuzkoa Provincial Council itself. Now, this space mainly complies with 4 different objectives. First of all, it aims to create a network at a multi-government level. Secondly, it establishes a space for exchanging experiences and best practices. It fosters technical pathways of help and assistance. And finally, it organizes and runs training courses and programs and specific conferences and seminars about citizen participation. Today, this space has 70 local entities and 3 stable working groups. The first working group focuses on participatory budgets. The second working group talks about legal issues, and the third group focuses on the creation of a guide for systematizing best practices in the field of citizen participation, and all of this with a general structure of coordination. And here we're talking about both political and technical coordination. So this is our deployment. This is how we have deployed our institutional structure in order to foster citizen participation. It's a structure which will be further extended very soon, because we will have a new structure soon. We will have the new structure to try to foster the culture of participation. So we have to blaze a trail in order to make citizen participation easier. We have to make instruments available to citizens, so therefore we have actually set up a virtual platform at the Provincial Council to try to provide citizens with a tool for participation and for debating. If we use technology well, then technology can open the doors to empowerment. It will enable us to be more transparent, and it will enable us to bring about this cultural change in favor of citizen participation. We've also set up a methodology and technical advice service, and we have a number of different subsidies that we give and grants to help with specific activities and actions designed to foster this culture. And another thing that I'd like to highlight in relation to citizen participation is that we have actually organized now a number of different training programs. First of all, we have internal training programs for public servants working inside the Gipuzkoa Provincial Council in order to enable them to develop the competencies they need. Secondly, we are working with the Basque Public Administration Institute, IVAP, in order to offer a training program to people who work in local municipalities. There we look at different competencies, how to manage conflicts, different methodologies, etc. This is what we offer there. And then thirdly, we have a pilot plan to set up a citizenship school. And we're going to be working here with many different stakeholders throughout the province, and also with young people. And then finally, we're working with UNICEF and we've set up a process to empower children and to encourage them to participate to a greater extent. So we have a specific space dedicated to that. So, in 2016, we set up a new model to develop participatory budgets, and we saw this as a new way for the Gipuzkoa Provincial Council to connect up to citizens. Now, through this activity, this initiative with the participatory budget, we thought the aim was to get to know citizen associations and individual citizens better, to improve relationships. Now, this initiative for the participatory budget has five phases. The first one is the definition, where we define what we're going to do. The second phase has to do with the participatory process itself through different channels. We will send letters out to all the households in Gipuzkoa with a survey that we ask them to fill out. Then we have a physical campaign that goes from town to town with a marquee that we set up in different town squares. And in fact, we've visited 38 municipalities this year. Then we arrange meetings with citizens, physical face-to-face meetings, so that we can hear their proposals firsthand. And then finally, we also have a virtual platform that we have set up in order to provide another channel for sending us proposals. The third phase is the draft budget, and this is submitted to a political and technical revision and analysis so that we can decide which proposals are going to be included. And then the fourth phase, is the acceptance of this budget by the provincial parliament, and assuming that the provincial parliament gives us the green light, then we go on to the last phase, which has to do with reporting back to citizens about what's happened, so being accountable for what everyone. So we tell everyone one by one whether or not their proposal has been accepted, whether it's been included in the budget. Now, let's have a look at some of the results. We've had 2,859 people participating, 7,682 different proposals or contributions have been calculated. So we have 4,733 direct proposals, of which about 50% were actually accepted and included in the budget. So disseminating citizen participation is, to our mind, a very, very important way to ensure the effective transmission of the activities that we're carrying out at the Citizen Participation Department. And it's an excellent tool for reaching out to all citizens. So with this aim, every fortnight we publish a newsletter in which we give an account of all the different activities which have been carried out at the Department of Citizen Participation at the Gipuzkoa Provincial Council, and the different initiatives carried out by the different administrations, national, regional, or even international organizations.
Another element that is relevant to us would be to facilitate networks, foray, and meetings on citizen participation. We now have a stable relationship in terms of citizen participation at national and international networks, and we also have close collaboration with universities and different institutions. The organization of this first conference on citizen participation proves also that we want to set up a network, a space where we can share at a national and international level and carry out a reflection about how participation, citizen participation, should be in our territory now and in the future. Citizen participation is something we want to foster, and this is why we are very much committed to introduce and include participation at all different levels and departments, our main objective being to institutionalize the deliberation on participation. So far, we have completed 25 participatory processes, and I would like to mention just 3 of of those processes. The first one is Our Way. This project was started back in 2016 and finished in May 2017. It is a project carried out in collaboration with the Zarauz City Council and Zarauz Youth Action Group, and also with the regional government of Gipuzkoa. The main goal of this project was to design a service for the youth in the town of Zarauz and laying the foundations to design a new service to provide value to the youth. This sub-project was called Gaztematika. It had 5 different phases. The participatory process has been very interesting. Really, it had 8 working lines or sub-projects, and thanks to those, we've been able to set up 45 proposals for action. The City Council of Zarauz has achieved most of its objectives. The second objective I wanted to mention here is called Boosting the Primary Sector. This is a project that has been carried out together with the Directorate of Citizen Participation and in collaboration with the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. The main goals of this project have been 3. The first one was to identify the strategic challenges of the primary sector. Secondly, to identify or design an action plan for each challenge that has been identified. And thirdly, to create and establish a space for citizen collaboration, where stakeholders of the primary sector can participate with the administration. And for this, we have set up a common working space in this process where 30 people have participated. This process has had 2 phases. In 2016, the first phase was carried out, and the 3 main challenges were defined, as well as an action plan for each one of those. And in the second phase, this is a phase that has been set up this year in 2017, and here we have identified 3 action plans, and we are implementing. We're already implementing them. They have to do with communication, profitability, and management. We can say that we have achieved the following main outcomes. Firstly, we have designed policies together, and we've also established a stable working group between the stakeholders from the primary sector and the administration. Secondly, we have started a management plan that is broken down into specific actions. And thirdly, we have created a new model to understand the design of new policies, and it's based on citizens and stakeholders. The last project I want to share with you here is leverage for innovation of bus culture. This project has been carried out with the regional government, in collaboration with the regional government and the Directorate for the development of the Basque language. The main goals of this project have been to create a stable working group with stakeholders related to Basque language, and finally to come up with a shared and unique discourse concerning the Basque language in order to transform the relationships that we have with the institutions. In 2016, we carried out a process of backcasting where we defined where we wanted to head for and where we wanted our Basque language to be by 2030. And this is how we define the levers we wanted to implement. In 2016, 31 levers for innovation were identified, and in 2017, we're already working on them and giving priority to some of them. And this process has been very interesting and has led to another project called Putzu-Berri, or the new well in English. On the other hand, we also have a new system for subsidies and on the basis of a diagnosis. We've come up with a consensus with a common discourse on basis or concerning the Basque culture and where we want to be by 2030. We've had more than 40 people participating in this project, coming from different associations and from the regional government as well. And this whole process has enabled us to set up a working group that is very healthy in its operation, that's very stable as well. And in the Directorate for Participation and at the Directorate for Language Equality, we have been changing the way we do things. You've seen then that our role at the regional government has been to disseminate the culture for collaboration, a new way of working among different departments that would place citizens at the core of public policies, and that will integrate them in the process of the administration and the tasks the administration carries out. It seems obvious that we are now redefining the conventional politics, and this is why we need to build a political system that, firstly, is accepted as being legitimate by most of the citizens. Secondly, this system needs to be based on cooperation and the construction of shared visions. And thirdly, this political system needs to work, actually. So for this, citizen participation is a fundamental element. It is essential. And as I said, having common goals and shared visions is not easy. It requires us to be really convinced, trained, ready, and it requires support, I would say. A lot of support. And this, it's a task that we need to do as a group, where politicians need to be promoters and facilitators. We need to trust citizens, and we need to regain back citizens' trust. We need to foster a model of public administration that can lead to new networks and can listen and share the demands and requirements coming from the citizens. Citizen participation, therefore, is at the core of the idea of the concept of democracy as such. We need to speak to citizens to tackle issues, and we need to think together and propose new solutions. This is the way. And I would like to insist on one idea. Participation is mainly one type of culture that we want, and the main element of that culture is that citizens understand that participation is actually a right they have, a right that they need to use and that politicians need to respect and foster. Thank you very much.